Hello everyone, I'm Heather. I'm back from my July TBR. So I'm hoping this video can go quickly. I'm hoping to do it as quickly as I possibly can, but I'm looking now at all the books that I've decided to read for July, and there's a lot of them. More than I really thought about, but it's still going ahead. Like, I'm still planning to get through these at least by the end of the first week of August. So pretty much my July is going to be like book, but you know, that's how I roll, that's how I play. This list is based on the Seattle Public Library's summer reading program for grown-ups. Now, I don't want to hear crap, okay? I don't need your judgment in my life. Seattle Public Library understands me better than most people, I realize, okay? They understand that 12-year-old me peaked in life when I was doing the summer reading program in the library. I did it every summer. My friends and I used to ride our bikes down to like the tiny shack of a library near us and just like load up on books and also get our, you know, weekly sticker for how many books we read, put it into our little passport book for the summer reading program so we could get pizza and prizes, okay, which was the ultimate in a summer. And I realize in my life that no summer will ever be as good as those summers. Seattle Public Library, though, they're working for me. They're on my side. They want me to get close to that. So they're like, hey, we have a summer reading program for grown-ups. Here is a bingo board. I'll like put it up somewhere with different prompts and everything. You can either like do like a line, across, up, down, whatever, or you can black it out, which is what I'm going for because I'm ambitious, right? And then you drop it off at the Seattle Library and, okay, I'm not gonna say that this is jinxing it. I'm gonna choose instead to see it as speaking what you want into existence. But my kid and I have plane tickets to go home to Seattle at the end of this month, and I think that it's actually gonna happen. So they're standing against us. The universe standing against us. They've canceled our flights once already. Okay, there's been like COVID things, isolation things, blah blah blah. Like, they're trying to throw us off. Okay, and anything can derail it between now and like 3 weeks from now. But speaking what I want into existence, the Spud and I are going home to Seattle at the end of this month. That puts me in a prime location, okay, to be in Seattle when I finish this readathon, and then I can just like go to the library and be like, hey, remember me? I haven't forgotten you. Here's my bingo. The blackout, that's right. So because it's already the 5th of July, I apologize for this video coming out really late. Like, I have been doing some stuff, like sitting on my butt. I have already read quite a few of them. Like, I've read 2 and very nearly to the end of 2 other ones. So I'm trying to like, you know, go for like book a day or like, you know, book every 2 days, blah, blah, blah. That'll sort of like keep me on track for like blacking out this shit by the time I go home. So I'll do those ones first and then I'll just slam the rest of them. I'm not going to do according to which prompt they are because I don't think you care. And also that would just take ages. So I'm just going to throw them out. If you're interested in whatever prompt they are, let me know in the comments and I'll fill you in. Okay, so the first one is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, and I finished this one and it was good. I'm going to say 4 or 5 stars roughly. I can't remember what I put officially on my thing. But the idea is it's city avatars. So New York City is like personified in a person. New York City has an avatar, but that avatar is in danger, sort of being attacked by this like foreign universe city, this like evil other universe city avatar is like attacking it. So then sort of each of the boroughs then like birth their own avatar. So you sort of like experience in the first bit of it people becoming the avatar of each of the boroughs of New York. So you've got like a Brooklyn avatar, you've got a Queens avatar, you've got a Staten Island avatar, and you sort of like experience them going from just being normal people who live there to being the personifications themselves of these boroughs of New York. Anyway, they've got to sort of get together and team up against this evil force, but not all of them are in cahoots with each other because the evil city has sort of infiltrated one of the borough avatars and sort of turned them to the other side. And anyway, I thought this was clever as crap. It was so well written, and like every time sort of like a characteristic or whatever comes out about a person, and you can sort of like connect the symbolism between that person and the actual borough that they represent. Like, I don't know a whole hell of a lot about New York, but it's sort of like quite obvious that when they talk about the person, they're not just talking about the person, they're also talking about like the collective society and like characteristic of those boroughs of New York. I thought that was just clever as shit, and also the ending's quite good, so I would recommend that highly. Okay, next one I also really loved, but it's 100% not PC, and I feel like if you have like issues with that, it would probably trigger you. It's quite it's not PC at all, but it is The Things That Make the Heart Beat Faster by Joe Morais. Sean at Pastoral Time knows this person personally because he's from Cardiff, and she's told me about 9 times how to say his name, and I take it in and I go, thanks, that's really good information, and then it immediately goes out the other end, so I'm a jerk. I apologize. I hope that was right. But this is short stories about living in Cardiff and being in Cardiff, but it's like like the sort of rougher side of Cardiff, you know, not like, you know, the delightful, you know, middle class type whatever, but like kids taking drugs at a rave, or like this guy who goes around like pounding people like he's a bully, or this guy who's like trying to get somebody else off his turf who's like selling drugs on his turf or whatever. But I absolutely loved the crap out of it. It was really well written, it was really funny. I think it captured Cardiff really well, and like I just sort of like kept writing down funny things, or like showing my husband, like I'd be next to him reading, I'd be like, oh my god, babe, read this, you know, like super funny. And the ends of each story really ended really well. Loads of times I'll read a story collection and they'll end and I'll just be like, oh, that's ended, next, you know. But each of the endings of the stories, it wrapped up really well, and I really enjoyed it. Like characters that you thought were going to go a certain way ended up going a completely different way and just messes with you, and I just really enjoyed the crap out of that one. I think that might be one of my favorites of the year, but I'm afraid to sort of put it in because it is really on PC in sort of sections. But I did really love the crap out of it. Okay. Next one I'm in the middle of, I'm very near the end, and it's quite a quick read because it's written in a way that's sort of like poetic and sort of different formatted, called The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, and this is basically a sort of memoir about a like kid who gets into drag later on in his life. He's sort of bisexual or gay or something. He's sort of growing up, he's trying to decide who he is, and he's got sort of supportive friends and supportive family, but there's also sort of issues there because half of his family's Jamaican, half his family's from Cyprus, and you know, there are some sort of barriers there to accepting him all the way for those reasons. His dad's not very much in his life, and he feels, you know, let down by that and things like that. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it as it's going through. It's going really quickly. I'll sort of maybe give an update near the end because I feel like the end is going to be crucial. It's going to be make or break for the book. So I'm really enjoying it up till then, but I feel like if the ending's bad or like boring or just sort of ends without any sort of thing, I might be like, well, that was, you know, I don't know. I'm leaving it like that. Okay. Next one is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, and I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who's yet to read this, so I'm glad that I'm finally getting to it. It starts out like the very opening sort of scene or whatever is a black babysitter is called in the middle of the night, like she's at a party and she's been drinking and she's wearing really small clothes, and she gets called by the person that she works for, a white sort of wealthy type woman in Pennsylvania, and she says, oh, it's an emergency, can you please come watch our kid for just a little bit, like we've had a break in our window and we need the police around and I don't want our kid to see the police here, so if you could just like come. And she's like, oh, but I've been drinking, blah blah, and she's like, that's fine, just please come and take my kid, blah blah. She takes her to this like really upmarket grocery store, and that's where she's accused by loads of the random people in the grocery store of stealing the child, and sort of from there not a lot has really happened with it, so I'm like more than halfway through now and it hasn't really become an issue yet, that thing at the beginning. Like it's only sort of just introduced her to a person who she's now dating, and she thinks he's really nice because he was one who was like trying to film the incident, you know, to sort of be on her side, and she's like, okay, and she goes to like on a couple dates with him, and it also sort of affects the mother of the kid, sort of the client as a babysitter. It sort of affects her and how she feels for the babysitter. She realizes the babysitter's really good and she doesn't want to lose the babysitter, so she's like trying to overcompensate for this extra thing, and it's sort of just lightly touching on sort of various race issues as it's going, but I think it'll probably hit harder a bit later on, sort of as I get closer to the end. I think it's all going to sort of slam into it at the end. It's just sort of slowly approaching it at the minute, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, the characters are really good. Like, it's a quick read. It's good. Okay, so the next one hasn't come yet. It's called Pretending Is Lying by Dominique Oblay. And this one fits into the Seattle reading challenge prompts, but also it's sort of like coinciding with the one that I'm still doing, the readathon, which is Reading Europe 2021. That's through Market Book Time with Elvis. Basically, my country, Italy, obviously, if they lose to a country, I have to read a book from that country, and they haven't lost any yet, so I've just given that up. I'm like, I'm never going to read anything if I have to wait for Italy to lose. So I've been just reading books to do with the country that they fight, you know, they sort of like go in a match with them, and then I read a book by them. So Belgium is the last one that they played, and they beat them, of course. And I'm still going to read a Belgian book, and it's this one. It's like a graphic novel, and it's sort of a memoir. And sort of as I was looking at it, it looks like quite funky and dark. So I'll put up like pictures, I think, of like pages in it that I could find. It just looks really cool on the inside. So I think it's quite short as well, so that'll be good. The next one is to do with Italy's next matchup coming up, I think on the 6th, tomorrow maybe. They're matching up with Spain. So for Spain, I decided to read Obabacoac by something Achaga. I'll sort of put that one up as well. I don't have that one either. I've put a hold on it at the library, and I think I'll be able to get it tomorrow or something. This is one that my husband recommended to me, and it's it was like originally first written in the Basque language, and it's a bunch of different stories sort of written about villages in Basque country, which I think is going to be really interesting. Sort of as I was reading the back and everything, it sounds a bit like a sort of Basque version of Under Milkwood. You know, this by Dylan Thomas is about like this small village in Wales, and like a traditional sort of village, and I feel like it'll be, I don't know, sort of like that, but like the Basque version. I don't know, I'm excited about that one. The next one is Intimations by Zadie Smith, and this is a bunch of essays written around sort of the lockdowns and sort of like COVID life, basically just locked in our houses with like really a lot of uncertainty and everything. And I think it's gonna be really quick but really interesting. I've heard really mixed reviews about this, to be honest. Like, either people were really into it or really not, so at least it's quick. Like, if I don't like it, it's quick. But I think sort of like looking back and looking sort of through them, I think it's going to be something I'm into. The next one is one of these sort of like little Faber dudes. I quite like these little Faber guys because they're cute, and also they're quick, but like really sort of deep and emotional. You know, you sort of like get a hit of literature sort of like in a tiny amount. And I've enjoyed all of the ones that I've read of it so far. This one's called Shanti by Vikram Chandra, and it's only like, how many pages? 71 pages, and they're small pages as well, so I think that's gonna be quite quick. But I think this one's based on, it's like 1945 or something, like just after the Second World War in India. I think it's in rural India. There's one guy whose brother has died, and a woman whose husband has died, or he's gone missing and she's gone to look for him. And she comes around every once in a while through the village in search of him, or like in search of like documents about him or word of him, and she always has a story which she tells to the guy who's lost the brother. And I think at the very beginning the brother was about to kill himself, but then runs into this woman who tells him a story, and it's sort of I don't know, like a sort of like 1001 Tales vibe, you know, with just like one person telling all these stories sort of like in a row. But I think the general idea behind it is like sort of coming together to heal together and that sort of like stuff, so I'm for it. Okay, so the next one is We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Berry. So this is like witches, like Salem witches meets a high school hockey team, which I am for. It takes place in Danvers, I think. All the Salem stuff happened in Danvers. And I think it's like a hockey team where the captain of the hockey team is descended from one of the witches of Salem trials, and then another one on the team has like special abilities to do something. It seems quite quirky. It takes place in the 80s, and I quite like things like that, so I'm excited for that one. Okay, so the next one is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Agawa. So I was just watching a video by Sarah Your True Shelf, and she was saying that she was going to read this for the Reading Women Challenge, and so I realised that it fits into that as well, so that's really good because I'm doing that one as well, and I didn't realise that this one would also meet one of the prompts. But this, I think, is a professor, an old professor in Japan, who has like a brain injury where he can only take in certain amount of information, or like his brain resets every 20 minutes or like every night or something like that. And so he's got this housekeeper who has a 10-year-old son, who's brought in to look after him. And apparently they sort of like have to reintroduce each other to each other every 20 minutes or something. And it's, I don't know, beautiful, like a beautiful bond, and a bond that runs deeper than memory. I've just heard really good things about it. I quite like Japanese fiction as well, so I think that would be really good. So the next one is one where I'm not sure which one it's going to be. It's either going to be The Endless Summer by Madame Nielsen or something, or When Stars Are Scattered. So this is sort of the reason I'm unsure is because of the Euros. I'm not sure who's going to be the matchup at the final end. So if Italy goes up, or like the country that I'm supporting, if they go up against Denmark, then this Danish one is the one that I'll read for the prompts. But if they go up against England, I already have an England book, and it's Intimations by Zadie Smith, who is from London. So then I'll just need a different one that also meets one of the Seattle prompts, but doesn't fit with the football. So the Endless Summer one looks really good. It's apparently about like this Danish woman and her much younger, sexy, like Portuguese artist lover. But like loads of crazy stuff goes on. Like someone's held at like gunpoint. It just like looks like one of these sort of like wild, like passionate romance type things. I'm really into that. I think it's gonna be good. But if I don't get to read that for this, I'll probably read it at some other point. Same with this one here, When Stars Are Scattered by Victoria Jameson and Omar Mohammed. So this one is like a kid's graphic novel about a kid growing up in a refugee camp in Kenya. So I think he and his family are Somali, and they're in Kenya. And I think something about he gets a chance to go to school or something, but it would require him leaving his family to do so, and he's sort of like torn about that. But that looks really cute. I actually saw that one on Karen Evans' channel, I think, and she said that one was really good, I think. The next one is The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. So I've heard absolutely loads about this one. This is another one where I feel like I'm the only one who hasn't read it yet. But I was sort of like reluctant a bit. I don't know, like when I read the back and when I read the reviews and everything, it doesn't sort of seem to match. Like all of the reviews are rave reviews, but then when I read about the plot of it, it just seems like quite boring. So I've just sort of like been putting it off. But now it meets one of the prompts really well, and I think it's time. I think it's time to commit to it. So the plot of it seems to be like sort of one of these dynasty things. It sort of goes through like 5 generations of a family or whatever, and they have this manor house, this Dutch house in Pennsylvania or something. And this guy sort of brings his family out of poverty, buys the manor house, but then dies, and the mother goes off, and then the stepmother is left with the kids, and she throws them out of the house or something, like a sort of evil stepmother Cinderella type situation, and the siblings are really close to each other. So you get like, in the reviews of things, they're like, oh, I really loved the relationship between the siblings. It was really warm and like, you know, heartwarming. And oh, I love the like way the house is basically one of the characters. It has as much character and as much, you know, sort of life to it as the people that are in the book, blah blah. Basically, it's got to be just gorgeously written, I think, because the plot like isn't hooking me, and it's like hooked loads of people. So I don't know, anyone who knows anything more about this one or like why it is that it's so amazing, I'm sure I'll find out when I read it. But at the minute, like, it's on the bottom of my pile basically of the ones I want to read, because I don't know, it just doesn't sound interesting, but I'll read it. Okay, and then I've got 2 audiobooks on my list that I'm going to get through BorrowBox, like the library app, and it's Whispers Underground and Broken Homes by Aronovich, I'll put them up. But these are 2, like the number 3 and the number 4 in a series of books that I really like that I've been reading. It's like a police officer at the London Met Police, and he's like a rookie. He hasn't been a police officer very long, but he's sort of found himself accidentally in this sort of extra secret part of the police that deals only with magical things and sort of like paranormal activity. And he's fought off like vampires and like this guy that like melts people's faces, and he's really funny. I really like him as a character, and I like the sort of like really super old white guy as well, who is like his mentor to become like a wizard or something. And like all of the characters that they sort of interact with I really like, and the sort of plots and everything that like the things that happen to them as they go. So I'm jumping on the other two. I've got them for free now, so that's next. And then also there's a prompt for food writing, which I don't really do. I don't really read a lot of food writing, but I found one on my list that I did really want to read, and it's With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. And I did read another one of hers before that I really enjoyed, I think Clap When You Land or something. So this one is about a girl who's in high school, and I think she then has a daughter and also has to take care of her grandmother, so she can't finish high school, or she can't maybe carry on from high school into other education. She's instead sort of stuck having to sort of support them. But she sort of like loses herself through her cooking, and there's a lot of like really in-depth descriptions of the cooking that she does and the food that she makes, and loads of reviews and things were like, I need to have this in my face and in my body right now because it sounds like the most amazing food that's ever happened. So I'm for that. Okay, so the next one is a romance. It's called Do or Die by Suzanne Brockman, and I feel like I'm gonna get super into this one. I'm pretty excited. Like, it's quite thick, but the idea is that it's this like US special ops sort of guy, like this like ex-military guy, and he's recruited to like rescue these kids who've been held hostage or something, and like he takes along his like sexy new attorney or something like that. And I feel like in some of the romances that I've read that I haven't enjoyed, it's because it's not like engaging me, like the action factor, you know. But do you remember the movie, I don't know if you've seen it, the Bourne movies, like the first one, not like Bourne Ultimatum or whatever, but the very first one, I can't remember the name of it. But like it's loads of action, they're getting away, blah blah blah, but then like the girl, she's like messing with her hair, she's like turning it a different color, blah blah blah, because she's been sort of like looped into this action sequence and she's got to go with the guy. And then like as she's like doing her hair or whatever, then they start making out and they have like this like romance scene, and that's like the best romance scene. It's not a romance movie, okay, it's like an action movie, but like I don't know, like the action dude and like the like action scene just made that romance scene amazing, and I feel like I'm onto something with this now, like in a similar way. I'll let you know. So the next one is one that I promised my husband I would read in like a card or whatever, that I said last Valentine's Day or whatever. I was like, I promise I will read this book, and it is First Blood by David Morrell. This is the book that Rambo was based off of, and my husband loves Rambo, and he read this book and he loved this book, and he was like, I bet you will like this book, and I was like, I doubt it, but okay, I promise to read and discuss. So going through it, like, you know, I like a bit of like action-packed sort of stuff or whatever, like the killing and everything, and the random like testosterone stuff. Maybe not for me, but I've promised to keep an open mind. So the next one, I think I talked about before when I first bought it, like I was really excited when I bought it first of all, is One Sky Day by Leonie Ross. And I think the general idea it's based on, so it's like a fantastical archipelago of islands it's made up, but I think it's based roughly on sort of Caribbean islands, sort of culture and geography and everything. And I think generally the idea is everyone on these islands, they're given some sort of magical gift or something, and then they sort of use it to go about their normal day, like a wedding party, like planning it or whatever, and sorting just normal stuff out. And I think something happens to do with like feminist running of the island or something. I don't know a whole lot about it, and also the sort of inside sleeve bit and also the back sort of keep you a bit in the dark. They sort of like give you a general sense of the feeling of the book without telling you sort of the plot or what happens. It's going to be a biggie mind, and I do understand that when I'm reading this many books in like a month or like a month and a half or whatever, the big ones are not the best idea. Look how gorgeous like the side of it is. Just as a side note. But I may sort of do this one as an audiobook potentially, like on the plane. Speak what you want into existence. Speak what you want into existence on the plane. Hopefully I'll be able to listen to this on audiobook if I don't sort of get through it by then as the actual book. Next one is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, and this one is a girl who rides the train every day or whatever, and she sees this girl that's always there, and it sort of becomes the best part of her day, sort of like seeing this girl and talking to her or whatever. But then she realizes there's something up with this girl. She's like in weird clothes and it's like all the same or whatever, and you find out that this girl on the train is in like some sort of time loop or time warp thing where she's in the 1970s, but she's now stuck on this train in the future, and she's got to like help her get out or whatever. Like, it's a romance and everything. I think it's like a YA romance, but it's also got like a weird sort of cool story that I like someone trapped in like a time bubble or something. The next one I found at the grocery store, you know, like I like a good grocery store book section, me, okay? So it is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I love Andy Weir's other books like Martian, and also one about a girl that was like living on a space station or something like that. Oh, Artemis that was. Those are really good, so I'm excited to get to this one as well. This one I think just came out. This one is someone, again, who's like stuck millions of miles from home, like in space, and now needs to like save the world or like save the space mission or something like that, but isn't in like the best position to do so, like the guy in Martian. He had to sort of like keep alive and sort of like keep the project going on Mars or whatever, but he was like waking up, you know, like he was injured, he didn't have any of his stuff. And I think it's sort of a similar thing. Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the earth itself will perish. So don't judge me, I'm really excited. But again, a thickie, and I'm hoping, you know, if I don't sort of get to these or whatever, maybe these will make really good audiobook situations for traveling. Speak what you want into existence. Okay, so the next one is one that I bought absolutely ages ago, back when I was last in Seattle, and I haven't been home because of COVID since January of 2020, like right before everything kicked off and like international travel just went so that was ages ago that I bought this book, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but now I'm determined to get to it. It's like sort of like a dark sort of funny psychological thriller. I think it's about a guy who works in a supermarket, and it's like a part-time job or whatever. He doesn't really care about it, but he comes to the supermarket one day, and I think now like a crime has happened, or there's something lurking in the supermarket. Arriving to work one day to a crime scene, Flynn's world collapses as the secrets of his tortured mind are revealed. Darkly funny psychological thriller. Supermarket is gripping exploration into madness and creativity. Woohoo! Next one I got from the library. Also a bit of a thickie, but I think I need to sort this one out quickly because, you know, library. I need to go back. This one is Hummingbird Salamander by Jeff Vandermeer. I read another one by Jeff Vandermeer at some point, but I cannot remember what it was. I will put it up with also the stars that I've given it, because I can't think, is it this one that I didn't like so much, or is it this one that I did really like? So depending on what it is, I'll put it up. But this one sort of like stuck out to me because I think I saw it on BuzzFeed or something, like something, it sort of popped up somewhere and with really good reviews, and I saw it in the library and thought, well, I'll just nab that. But it also fits a prompt for cli-fi, sort of like climate change sort of fiction or whatever, sort of catastrophe climate stuff. So this woman, I think she inherits an object that's passed down to her by like an eco-terrorist or something, like a hummingbird or something, and she takes it out of the storage facility and then just like launches this huge catastrophe or something, and like loads of people are after her. Something huge has happened, but I don't know what it is. And I quite like that idea, sort of an eco-terrorist idea and sort of a cli-fi sort of situation, so that'd be good. Okay, this one I also got at the grocery store because I love a grocery store book section. It's called Later by Stephen King, and so basically it's this kid and he has like special abilities. He like knows things or like can see things that other people can't see. So the NYPD or whatever sort of like recruit him to help them find this killer, but the killer's like a special kind of like paranormal killer, like he's an undead killer or he's like a killer from the grave or something like that, and it like puts the kid in danger or something like that. I love Stephen King. Like some of his stuff is like way too scary for me. Like I could never read it or anything like that. But like The Stand, loved The Stand. So, you know, things sort of like this are like more mild and like not like horror. I can do. I like a bit of Stephen King. Okay, so the last one is The Plotters by Eunsu Kim. I think that's how you say that. If it's said differently, please tell me so that I don't botch that again. And I think that I mentioned this one in like a vlog or something before, like when I bought it, but I don't think I said a lot about it. So this one is like a thriller about this guy who's a hitman, and he works for these like unnamed group called the Plotters or something, and there's like rules that he has to follow when he's like doing his hits. But like one time he breaks the rules, like he allows someone he's supposed to kill, he like allows them to die their own way instead of like the way he's supposed to kill them or something. And then now he's like, oh shit, are the Plotters coming for me? And then it's just like messes with your mind, like a sort of like deep psychological thriller type thing. So I'm super excited about that. I quite like ones that are sort of like Korean and Japanese like translations of like thrillers and stuff like that now. That's sort of like something I'm really getting into, so pretty excited about that one as well. Okay, so I'm aware that that is 24 books and that some of them are quite big, okay, but I do feel like July can just be like book, 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 and that'll be fine, like I can get into that. But also, because it's a summer reading thing, and speak what you want into existence, I will be in Seattle until the end of the first week of August, hopefully. I'll be able to sort of like drop my bingo thing at the library anytime before then, so I get like an extra reprieve, like it's like 5 weeks instead of just the 4. I think I can do it. If not, I may have to abandon the blackout and just go for like, you know, rows. Maybe if I do like several rows, they'll like allow me like double dips to like go in for the prizes and stuff like that. Like I don't know. But anyway, if anyone has any comments about any of those, like the books that I said, or like books that you think I'll like, or like anything about summer reading programs, do you have any amazing stories about how you peaked as a child in the summer reading library programs? That'd be amazing. And any questions, obviously, hit me up. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Bye, 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 bye.